welcome to Desert Wanderers, produced by Salt and Light Radio. If you're new here, we bridge the gap between you and the person in the pew next to you. I will be interviewing priests, religious, and laity in our local Boise diocese, asking questions that'll help you navigate your vocation and help build community wherever you are with whatever resources you may have. Let's build the city of God together. So Sarah Larson, nice to have you on today.
Thank you. Good to be here.
It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
We could just go on niceties all day.
Yeah, exactly.
So you went to Sacred Heart.
Yeah.
And now you are joining Focus.
I am. Yep,
so,
Focus.
Did you graduate college last year or?
I graduated in May from Boise State.
From Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about how you found Focus. When was the first time you found Focus?
Yeah, that's a great question. I actually my first year of college I went to Gonzaga University, but Focus is not on Gonzaga's campus.
Oh wait, hold on though. Like Go Zags.
Go Zags.
Okay. Bulldogs.
Okay. And so I actually found out about Focus through a Facebook ad for a program that Focus offers called Summer Projects.
Oh, cool.
And I was like, it's probably not for me. It's like Summer Projects is a 10-week long program that Focus puts on where college students go and serve in like the hospitality industry for a summer, and then you get Focus faith formation. And so,
sorry, when you say the hospitality, are you talking about like hotels?
Yeah, like hotels. I worked as a hostess in like 2 different restaurants. Yeah, but some of my friends were like housekeepers, and it was just
wow.
It was a crazy summer. And then when you're not working, you're doing Focus faith formation, like Bible studies and mass and discipleship and all prayer and all the fun things. And so I saw this on an ad on Facebook, and I was like, that's kind of cool looking, not for me, and never gonna do that. And then the ad kept popping up so annoyingly that I was like, maybe it is for me.
God, I'm finally picking up on the cue, okay?
Yeah.
Just stop sending this stupid advertisement towards me.
Literally. And then I applied, and I was like, well, when I don't get it, that'll show Jesus that it's not for me.
Right.
So then I got it. And then we had to fundraise to get there. And I was like, well, when I can't fundraise, that'll show Jesus that I'm not supposed to be. And then I got fully funded. And I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm going to Summer Projects. And that was like the first time I'd ever encountered Focus Missionaries or any of the work that they were doing.
Okay, so go into what that Summer Project is. So like, how does it work? What's the structure of it?
Yeah, so it's 10 weeks. I was in Colorado Springs my first summer, and you pretty much, so I worked at a bar as a hostess, and so I would mostly work the night shift from like 4 to 11 p.m. And so, I would work, go to bed, wake up for 7:30 a.m. Mass, pray a holy hour right after. The day was kind of ours, so if I needed to go grocery shopping or like whatever I needed to do, could do. Yeah, and then throughout the week.
Do they help you find the job then? Like,
yeah.
So they provide a job for you when you like.
Yeah.
So is it kind of like an internship thing?
Kind of.
Not like an internship, but like, just like working over the summer.
Yeah. Yeah. So Focus partners with different resorts around the country. Okay. And so Focus and the resort sign a contract, and then it's like everything that all the time off that Focus needs for whatever, like it's already like laid out, and so the resort knows what we need and everything.
Whoa, that's cool. Okay, so has Focus talked to Sun Valley then?
I don't know if Focus has talked to Sun Valley. I know they've been trying to get something in Coeur d'Alene.
Oh, cool.
So I don't know. We'll see if Focus can do something like that.
I'm just calling them out right now. Focus,
you
need to
do that. There is a location in Spokane this year, though, so it's kind of close enough. But
that's really cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so they have this program, and they set you up with jobs, and then how else does it? They work with resorts.
Yeah. And then Focus puts you in a Bible study group, and that becomes like your small group, and you do like, my first summer we did like everything together, and so you're doing Bible studies together, discipleship together, random other fun activities you do together.
So is this a mission in itself, or is this like you're going to go as like a missionary?
This is a mission
in itself.
Yeah.
Okay. So you guys weren't, because you can go ahead and talk about what Focus. Let's circle back and go. Okay. What is Focus known for, I suppose?
Okay.
For the viewers.
Yeah. Focus sends Catholic missionaries to college campuses to walk with the students in college, because college is tough and a lot of questions arise in the hearts of students, and Focus Missionaries work to help bring those students to Christ and help them find other Catholics on college campuses. And
so now that we have that going back to this mission, I never even heard of this, so it's so cool.
Yeah.
So you first heard about them in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
When you were on this, and what was your what did it look like? So you were obviously working at a bar, and then what kind of things would you guys do together?
There's another aspect of summer projects, and they're called incarnational days. And during an incarnational day, the Focus Missionaries just plan fun days. Like we went hiking, we went whitewater rafting, we spent a day in Denver with the Christ in the City missionaries.
Oh, so cool.
It was so fun. And so just like random activities like that that we just got to do, and so we would do that.
How was it to encounter Christ in the City?
They're so cool.
Yeah.
It was crazy timing, because our day in Denver was like super close to when all of their like full-time staff was leaving for a break or something like that. And so there were like 3 Christ in the City missionaries there, but we just got to like hear from them what they get to do on a daily basis and who they get to encounter. And so they're really cool people. And did
they ask you to like come and help for the day on their mission? And so did you like walk with them?
We didn't walk with them on their street routes, but they got to describe to us what it was like, and it was what they're doing is just incredible. So yeah.
They're awesome. There's a really good documentary. I think there's 2 of them actually on Christ in the City on Formed, the website. Formed.
Yeah.
I think it was really eye-opening. I was like, man, I wish I would have done that out of college. It would have been so cool.
Yeah. No, they're incredible. So
for me, like part of me when I think of Christ in the City though is I think like I glamorize it in a way, and then I think when you go and work, I'm sure it's just like, wow, like this is good work, and it's beautiful that we're helping these people, but it's also really hard to do that. Yeah. I think I glamorize a lot of like service, and then I start doing it and I'm like, wow, this is not actually
wild.
Yeah.
Don't know, what am I doing here? Yeah.
So when you were in the summer program, what were you thinking when you were wrapping up?
Yeah, so over that summer, I transferred from Gonzaga to Boise State.
Okay.
And towards the end of it, I was like, oh, I have to leave. Like, the community at SP21, Summer Projects 2021, was unlike anything I'd ever experienced up to that point. And I was like, oh, I have to leave all these people that I've, like, really grown to love. And I'm going to Boise State, and I'm from Boise, but it's just going to be weird to experience Boise as an adult.
Yeah.
And so I had the thought of like going back to summer projects, kind of, but not too much at that point. You can go back as a leader your second summer. And I had the thought of when I was leaving, I was like, maybe I'll come back to summer projects, but I don't think so. And so I was like really focused on moving to Boise, getting settled and everything at Boise State.
So what was it like? I mean, before we hit to Boise, I want to talk to you about Gonzaga. So
yeah.
it's obviously a Catholic college. However, it's so, I guess, athletically focused.
Yes, it is.
That I can see it kind of being like a Duke or something. Probably a little more Catholic than Duke, but, you know,
Yeah.
it's very much been secularized through sports. So
it has.
What was your experience at Gonzaga like?
Gonzaga was okay. I love Gonzaga.
It's a very large school.
It
too,
is,
right?
For a Jesuit, like private Jesuit Catholic institution. It's pretty large. It was also in the heart of COVID, and so my first year was fall of 2020, and I didn't know anyone at Gonzaga, and like my dorm mates were great. I really appreciate them, and I had some in-person classes, not a ton. Most of my classes were like over Zoom. And so those 2 semesters were really challenging because of I just like struggled to meet people at Gonzaga.
Yeah, I can assume that would be really hard. But so then you moved down to Boise.
Yes.
And did you get involved with the Newman Center?
Yeah, I went to a daily mass. At summer projects, you go to daily mass almost every single day, and so I was like, I need to keep doing that. And I showed up to St. Paul's at Boise State one of the first days I was back from summer projects, and I was like, great, this will be good. There are people here that are nice. And that's when I met some of the Focus Missionaries at Boise State, and it was just one of those things where you're like, I need to go to mass today, and people talk after, and I don't know anyone, so I'm just gonna start talking to people.
Yeah. And then what was it like interacting with the Focus Missionaries after you'd been on summer projects? Were they able to, had any of them been leaders, or had any of them been involved with that? So could they like relate to you a little?
There was one. He was at a different location, so we didn't really share many. We had similar experiences, but not the same. But the missionaries who were at Boise State at the time were they're really incredible. Alicia's one of them, and she met me like the first day. She was one of the first people I met at Boise State, and she really was like, I know you just encountered some wild things at summer projects, but let me like actually invest in you and show you how to be like an apostle and a disciple of Jesus.
And then what about just how did you build your community after you got back into Boise? So you're experiencing it as an adult for the first time. So what is that like? And I guess, did you have friends that were Catholic that were already attending Boise State and that kind of stuff, or what was your experience like going through college?
When I first got to St. Paul's, there were no one I knew was really going, and so it took Alicia, that Focus Missionary, inviting me to a lot of things before I actually was like, no, I should probably go. It's a barbecue. Like, how bad can it be? And so there was a lot of people in the community that I was meeting that were already like established members of St. Paul's, I guess, who made it like very welcoming and very open. Looking back to August of 2021, I can just like see how much growth happened. I went into that school year thinking that I knew Jesus and the Father like really intimately, but like looking at it now, I can see how much I've grown in relationship. Every single semester something happened that I was like, oh shoot, I don't know the Father that well. And it just like was a continual growth and a continual like building of the relationship through everything that I went through.
What are some of the typical struggles, do you think, that you notice, like maybe with people in your community or with yourself when you're going through college? Like, what are the things that, like, obviously everyone's experience is different when they go to college, right? But I guess, how was Jesus like calling you through each semester?
Yeah, that's a great question. Throughout college, there was definitely a part of me that was always like, will Jesus be enough to satisfy? I just learned a lot, like, oh, like my grades, like getting a really good grade on an exam or getting a really bad grade on an exam, like doesn't define who I am. And I think that's something a lot of college students have struggled with, and that's something I saw when I was walking with college students at Boise State. And so just seeing that the Lord does care about those exams, but like he also cares more about like the relationship behind it all. And so it started with me like doing really well on an exam or doing really poorly on an exam, and then that missionary Alicia, she's great at asking questions, and she just like got me to go deeper into the why behind the way I was acting or doing something, and over like the past 3 years I've seen that come into like fruition of like, well, why do you want to be a missionary? Is it out of a place of selfishness or selflessness? And just being able to reflect on those questions over the past even year has been incredible for my relationship with Jesus, because it draws me out of myself. And that's
So when she's asking you these questions, was this posed in like your first year at BSU? So you came in as a sophomore.
Yeah.
Right? Okay.
Yeah.
So your sophomore year, was that when she started to pose these questions, or did it take longer for you to like get involved and get to the point where you could have conversations with her? She jumps to the chase. She's a person who you'll meet her and then like 5 minutes later she's like, so what's your deepest, darkest secret? And she'd probably be mad at me for telling everyone that, but it's her question, it's her go-to question. But she's also just a person that you like, when you meet her, you just feel like you can trust her with everything. Yeah.
And so it took me like 2 or 3 weeks, and then she started asking me, you know, what's your deepest, darkest secret? And I was like, oh, I feel like I can actually trust you with this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, those questions started probably in September of 2021, and they haven't stopped. So,
yeah, I mean, I can understand that. I mean, obviously, when we think about like secrets, right? I think there's a part of it that, especially in my experience in college, like Satan wants you to be silent.
Yeah.
He wants to think you're alone and that you don't like, that no one else struggles with these things, and that that it's wrong, that you should think that, right? And he wants to like silence you in a way, right?
Yeah.
So by her asking, in a way, it's kind of like Jesus just being like, it's like speaking through her in a way and just being like, yeah, I see you. Or I want to know you. Like, I want you to be known to me. Right.
Yeah.
And like, although Jesus does it, like we're called to be his hands and feet. So in a way, it's like her almost allowing you to come out of the darkness. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. She's great at that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So obviously she's made a large impact on your life.
Yeah.
So when you think about being a Focus missionary yourself, you made it through summer training, right? This year?
Yeah. Yep.
What was that like?
Summer training was wild. Focus told me that I would go to training in Nebraska. I got okay, this is a whole nother story.
No, please. We have lots of time. You can please
great.
Go.
Over the past year, I applied for Focus twice. And the first time I got told no and didn't get an interview. The second time I applied, I got an interview, got accepted, but I got hired on April 22nd. And training for Focus starts May 22nd. So I have a month. And they tell me, because I'm hired so late, they tell me pretty late in the game that I'm going to Nebraska. But that's where all of the missionaries in the North and the West train. So I'm like, okay, great. It'll be Nebraska. My team director at Boise State, he told me that my missionary has told me that I'll be in Nebraska. Like, everyone is telling me that I'm going to Nebraska. So I start planning to get to Nebraska for training. And then 6 days before training, like, starts, May 16th, Focus calls me. And they're like, hey, we need you to get to Ave Maria, Florida, because your placement has changed.
Oh, no.
And I was like, no, I don't want to go. And so through a lot of phone calls with Alicia and many other missionaries that I know, I was like, I guess I'm going to Florida. And so we get to Florida. I get to Florida, and it's a wild adventure it's really humid. It's really hot. Kind of want to be in Nebraska with all my friends. But through that, it was like, just like the training Focus puts on is incredible. The missionaries in the South are incredible. And so it was a great, wild experience.
So your friends went to Nebraska. So did you have other people from BSU that went to become Focus missionaries as well?
Yeah, one other friend of mine, his name is Luis. He went to Nebraska for training.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about any of your friends from the summer program? Did any of them go on to become Focus missionaries as well?
Yeah, quite a few of them. I went to 3 summer projects. So
you went to 3?
Yeah.
Okay, so you went back as a leader then?
Yeah, I went back as a leader, a student leader my second summer, and a student director my third summer, and there's kind of some differences between them, but they're just leadership positions for students. And so I knew I knew more people at Lincoln, and I knew only like 3 or 4 at Ave in Florida. So it was a wild adventure of meeting a ton of new people in 4 weeks.
Yeah, I think my Focus missionaries, I went to Belmont Abbey in North Carolina.
Yeah.
And I think my Focus missionaries would have been down in Florida then, because I think all of them, I remember one year they were coming back from summer training, and I think they were all very tan. I think they had gotten back from Florida.
Yeah. Yeah.
So wait, hold on. So pause. Let's go back. So you were a student leader and then a student director?
Yeah. So student is just the normal position, I guess, that you can do at summer projects. You get to do all the fun things without having to worry about any of the planning.
Right.
And then as a student leader, you have a group of girls that you're walking with, but someone is walking with you and helping you out and making sure you're okay. And then as a student director, you really like put the summer on. Focus missionaries leave summer projects with about 2.5 to 3 weeks left to either like report to their campus that they've been assigned to. And so the student directors are then put in charge of running the program for the last 3 weeks of the summer.
So when you say that, are you helping place people at jobs, or is it more like day-to-day stuff, like making sure everyone's going to mass, making sure everyone's getting into their groups, and outlining activities and that kind of stuff? Like, what kind of does the student director entail?
We do more of the planning of the day-to-day stuff. Most of the missionaries, by the time they leave, have already planned the rest of the summer for us. We just have to execute it. And so the missionary I was under last year, she was the chaplain liaison for the location we were at. And so when she left, I took that over. So I was planning airport ride, like pickups and drop-offs. I was planning when mass was going to be in Holy Hour, and so I was in charge of that. And then my teammates were in charge of the fun days and the speakers that come in every week.
So how do you feel that has formed you?
I think it's just really transformational, because you can't live out of a place of, oh, this is my mission. Like you have to really be a daughter in order to do anything, or else it's just really tiring. You just get so exhausted and so burnt out. And I think that I learned that a lot last summer, of it's me, another student director, and 3 student leaders, and there are 90 students here. And how are we supposed to run this program? There's 5 of us. And so it took a lot out of me, because I was living in a place of mission of this is my relationship with Jesus right now, and not my relationship with Jesus is impacting my mission, if that makes sense. And so just learning that before becoming an actual Focus missionary, I think was really transformational for me.
So as most Focus missionaries, there's a lot of spiritual development that they do, and they try to help you kind of it's weird to say it like this, but in a counselor way, you're try and take it around the walls, the barriers, to make sure that you can enter into the heart and then lead them to Christ, right? Yeah. So were you doing that with the 90, or was it more oh no, this is more creating good habits for them? So making sure that they have an hour, and that they go to daily mass, and have a community that they can start to open up to, but not necessarily do the deeper work, I guess.
I think it's a little bit of both. I was personally investing in 4 or 5 women, and so getting around those barriers and helping them see Christ through it all. But also in my position, I was helping create those good habits of, this is when Mass and Holy Hour will be for all 90 of you, and you need to show up at some point. There are, two different Masses, 2 different Holy Hours, so show up. And so, it was a little bit of both, but summer projects is fun because all of the students either have a missionary or student director or student leader assigned to them, and so those missionaries walk with the student throughout the summer to help them get through and around the walls and the barriers.
So it really is you were being a Focus missionary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, so what are you looking forward to most this year, and what do you think you're not looking forward to the most this year?
I'm moving to Tennessee. I think just to get that out there. Yeah. Moving to Tennessee. So I'm really nervous, but also really excited for that.
What are you nervous about?
It's 30 hours from home. And that is the furthest I have ever been away for long amounts of time. And so if something happens to my family, I have a full day of travel on a plane to get home. And so I'm nervous about that aspect. But I'm also I'm really excited as well. The campus that I'm going to, East Tennessee State University, Focus has never been on it before.
Oh, so this is the first. You will be one of the first missionaries. Yeah. Do you have a partner? Is it there 4 of you that are going, or is it just a set of 2?
There's 3 of us on our team right now. Me, my female teammate Madeline, and then our team director. He's our boss, Ryan, and then he is married and has a 5-month-old baby. So,
oh my gosh, amazing.
Yeah, it's really cute. And that's our team. We should hopefully get a another male missionary with us in December or January. So
when I was in college, they did basically, we had 4 missionaries. 2 of them were focused on non-athletic students, and then 2 were focused on athletes. So is that the same structure for all schools, or how does the structure work in Focus?
Yeah. It's dependent on the school, I think. But you as a missionary, you can decide if you want to focus on athletes or Greek students or just be a normal missionary.
Oh, okay. So they have like another whole subset of like Greek life.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And so at East Tennessee State right now, all three of us are just normal missionaries. We don't have they have at training specialized training for missionaries who will walk with athletes and missionaries who will walk with Greek students. And we didn't do that this summer, mostly because we don't know the environment that we're stepping into at East Tennessee State. So
is it like pretty broad in your training that it kind of touches on, I don't know, like when I think of like a specialty, right? You like really dive deep into one thing. So if like you're doing the broad trainings, like almost like primary care, right? Where you kind of know a little bit about each group. Do they teach it like that? Or is it like just here's a basic structure and then so I guess what's the difference? Are you getting information about like typically students like this act like this, but just like very little ways to involve with like engage with them? Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. We get training on the normal that sounds bad, but like the normal college student, like the one who just is walking from class to the student union building. We get training on like how to engage with them. But the missionaries who concentrate on like athletes, they get specialized training on how to get into like how to become friends with athletes. A lot of times they were athletes themselves in college. Yeah. And so they know like, okay, I played baseball, so I'm going to go see if I can become friends with the baseball team. Yeah. And then start a Bible study with them. It's pretty cool. They get like really specialized into the athletes or into the Greek students. So
that's really cool. So is there, to your knowledge, is there a Newman Center or any like religious affiliation at Tennessee State?
There's a Newman Center at East Tennessee. We don't really know as a first team going there. We don't really know what it's going to be like. Yeah. We know our priest pretty well. At training, they have what they call campus ministry days, and they invite all of the chaplains and all of the campus ministers from every campus that Focus is on, and they get to come see what Focus is like, what missionaries are like, what our training is like. And so we met our priest at training, and he's really incredible. But other than that, I'm not really sure.
This is like a whole new world.
What it's going to be like.
Makes me want to sing Aladdin. A whole new world.
Exactly. Exactly.
So then, I guess, are there any other things that you're looking forward to in this year as a Focus missionary?
I think, I'm really excited to meet the students. I'm also really excited for Seek, that's Focus's national conference. Yeah. It'll be in Salt Lake City this year, and so we'll get to just to like get the students from Tennessee to come to Salt Lake City. kind of back in the West, which is gonna be fun for me, but just to like get them to experience part of the country they may have never been to before.
Salt Lake is amazing to fly into as well. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. So I'm really excited for them, and I'm excited too. So yeah.
When I think of my Focus missionaries, they were great at like sharing their life story. So I guess, is there a part of you that is excited to share that with students and like basically through your struggles and victories, like be able to help bring students to Christ? Is that something that you're excited to do, or is that like nervous? Like, does that make you nervous?
I think I'm excited.
Yeah.
I think when I think of my missionaries too, they were all really good at sharing what they had experienced in college, and so I'm excited to encounter these students at East Tennessee State and just just share life with them. And
what were some of the things that your Focus Missionaries did that you want to like do with your students?
We went on road trips, like
really?
Super fun road trips. Like, the missionary who I was closest with. So Alicia, she was there 2 of the 3 years that I was at Boise State.
Mm-hmm.
But the missionary who walked with me really intentionally, her name is Dana. For the past 2 years, she's been walking with me really intentionally. And one of the first things Dana and I did together was drive to Helena, Montana.
Wow, that's a long drive.
Yeah.
How many hours is that? Like 9?
7 or 8.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And so, Dana, that was like such a random fun road trip.
What were you guys going to?
My best friend went to school at Carroll College in Helena.
Yeah. And
then one of Dana's good missionary friends served at Carroll. And so we were literally going for the weekend to visit them.
Oh my gosh.
It was so chaotic.
It was like a long trip.
We left at like 5 a.m. Like,
oh my gosh.
It was so fun. And it was just like one of those like core memories of my time at Boise State. Dana and 2 other students and I went to Salt Lake City one time as a day trip. We also left at like 5 a.m.
Oh my gosh, a day trip to Salt Lake.
Yeah.
It was like, for anyone that doesn't know, that's 6 hours.
Yeah, we went. There's an In-N-Out in Salt Lake, and one of our friends had never been to In-N-Out. And
oh my gosh.
One weekend, they were like, we're going to Salt Lake to get In-N-Out. Do you want to come? And me and Dana were like, sure, why not? Let's go.
Oh my gosh.
We were kind of delusional by the end of the trip.
Obviously.
But
that's 12 hours in a car in a 24-hour period.
Yeah.
Did you literally just drive to In-N-Out and then like hang out for an hour and just head home?
Kind of. Yeah, we drove to In-N-Out.
You had to stop at IKEA.
We didn't stop at IKEA.
No, you have to stop at IKEA every time you go to Salt Lake.
I'm sorry. Well, there's another trip that I can tell us about later. But we went to In-N-Out, and then we went to the mall that's there. It's kind of like an outdoor mall in downtown. We went there. And I even think we went to the Cathedral of the Madeleine, but that could be a different trip.
Okay, but that I've talked to other people on the podcast about going there. Love that.
That cathedral's beautiful. I love that cathedral.
Yeah.
But so just like random road trips with this, it's funny because I've never lived in Tennessee, and I probably never will after Focus. I mean, never say never, but
yeah, I was gonna say never say never.
Jesus could really pull that out of left field.
When I went to North Carolina, if my family lived any closer, I would have stayed there. Yeah, because I loved it. It's so beautiful. I remember it was like mid-January, maybe February, and it was like 70 degrees and no humidity and just sunny. Like it would have like a rainstorm like first thing in the morning, like a really big rainstorm, and then it'd just be like sunny and beautiful the rest of the day. No, I was like, if this is like the norm, like if this is the norm for every year, like count me in. Yeah. August, on the other hand, with like 90% humidity and I also ran track there, so like beginning of the season did not like training, but other than that, besides like August, it was really nice all the way around. Yeah. And I actually drove when I went. My mom and I drove from Boise to Charlotte, or like Belmont, right outside of Charlotte. Yeah. And so we drove the trip, but we went over the Smokies in Tennessee. It's really beautiful. So
I keep hearing that. I'm really excited to see them.
My cousin lived in Nashville for a while, and she loved it. She was there for like 2 years, 2.5.
Okay, yeah.
And she also loved it. Nashville's pretty cool too. The cool thing about going from the west to the east is when you go to the east, you can hit things like so much faster. Yeah. Like the amount of trips you'll be able to do with your friends or like your students is going to be kind of insane compared to like Idaho. You're like, oh yeah, we hit this city in like 3 hours. We hit this city in like an hour and a half. So it's so funny because I'd like talk to people and they'd be like, how long is it to get to like next big city? Or like, yeah, literally like 6 hours. The closest one. Yeah. But
my teammate and I at training, we were talking, and I made a joke. I was like, Madeline, for fall break, I'm driving to West Virginia. And she looked at me and she was like, why are you going to West Virginia? And I was like, well, we have to sing Country Roads in West Virginia. And that's all I want to do for fall break. And she was like looked at me like I was insane. And I was like, trust me, it's an Idaho thing, apparently.
That's hilarious. Okay, the other thing, speaking of West Virginia, so I was driving up to DC and with my parents when they came and visited, and it's so dense. Like, the forest is so dense there. Like, there's just so much. Like, they say Boise is the city of trees. That's a lie.
Oh, okay.
Maybe compared to the rest of Idaho, but it is a lie. I'm just kidding. Everyone knows that there's not very many trees comparatively, but yeah. So I didn't realize how suffocating I was feeling being in all the trees until we got to West Virginia and we like got into some farmland, and like the trees finally open up and we're just like, there's fields, and I can see out like far enough that I can like see the sun like rising as we're driving, and I'm like, wow, like I can breathe. What is this? Like, I didn't even know I was living with that. but it was such a weird thing. But I mean, I do love the forest. It's great, and the trees are really beautiful. It's just very dense, at least in North Carolina. Tennessee, I mean, obviously I've only been through the Smokies, so it could be different, but most of my experience has been in the trees. Yeah, but I love it though. Yeah, I think we actually did a track meet up in Tennessee once too, so again, it was very foresty over there, but it's really great. Yeah, I think the memory that I have with my Focus Missionaries, and I don't know what tradition this is, but there's like a pilgrimage you can do on Good Friday. We watched The Passion. So my Focus Missionaries, my Focus Missionaries did not know that I had never seen The Passion. So we all come over, we have like a group of us, we're all watching this, and I'm like, oh, this is gonna be great, it's such a good movie. Oh gosh, like ugly crying, like a mess. And then after the movie's done, the like lead missionary, he was like, okay, well, let's go. And I'm just like, I can't go. Anyways, and so literally one of the girls was like, she needs a minute. I'm like, I can't even talk. And so he's like, all right, well, you do that. And he's like, I'll go start the car. Great idea. Whatever. Sure, insensitive. Whatever. Anyways, no, it was great. So he goes and starts the car. I collect myself, and then what we proceeded to do is all of our missionaries split up 4 cars, and all the students that were with us that night, we got into the cars, and then we drove around to 15 parishes that had adoration, 24-hour adoration, and we literally didn't get. I don't think we. When did they say? Is it midnight when the fast is over technically? I don't remember, because I remember one of the missionaries was like, because there's some traditions that people are like, oh no, you don't eat until Easter, like Sunday, right? But no, I can't remember if it was like 12 or 3 a.m. or something, but he was like, we are going out and we're gonna have some steak. I don't know, it was like we went to like IHOP or something, so obviously it was like one of the things that was open 24/7, and so then he gets whatever kind of meat that he can get or whatever. But yeah, we went and we drove around to, it was a lot of them. If it wasn't 15, I might have been exaggerating, but it was like 8, and we would spend a half hour at each one and then get up and go to another one, and we were like Jesus hopping. It was kind of cool. That's kind of fun. Yeah, it was super fun. Yeah. And then yeah, it's so weird, because I thought I went home for Easter every year, but apparently I didn't, because I remember that, and that was like one of the best memories, was like hopping around different churches. Another really good story from Belmont was I spent the summer there, and all the missionaries and everyone left, so I was there by myself, and one Sunday I missed Mass. I don't even know what the Latin Mass was. That's my preface to the story. Didn't even know it existed. Yeah, and I like couldn't find a mass time because I woke up. It was like 11:30 in the morning, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I gotta go to mass.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked. Finally, there was one church 45 minutes away that had a like 1 o'clock mass. So
perfect.
And it was in English, or like it wasn't Spanish, because I think, you know, in Idaho at least, a lot of the like later afternoon masses are Spanish mass.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, and I'm like, I don't have a watch. Didn't bring my phone in because I was trying to be like focused.
Mm-hmm.
Sure enough, I'm like, okay, this is weird. No one's talking. There's like really beautiful singing. I don't really understand what's going on here. And I'm like, okay, obviously, like I know I'm in a Catholic church.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's going on. And then it was a high mass. So it was not 45 minutes. It was 2.5 hours.
Oh, no.
And I was like going crazy. Like, is it really this long? Like, I just must be like so lost in the mass that I really don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
Granted, like communion took forever because there was an altar rail and you had to like go and sit or like go and kneel. And so, and the priest was the only one handing out communion. Right. So it did take a long time. Probably took like 40 minutes for the congregation to get through the line. So because there was a lot of people, there was like, I don't know, probably, if I had to guess, like 150 people like attending this high mass. So anyways, yeah. And then whatever I had planned that afternoon, it was shot, because I remembered I was like, oh, if I go to this one, I'll have like 15 minutes and then I can like run over and go to this place. Yeah, no, I missed it altogether. So anyways, yeah, that was it was really interesting. You'll have to tell me next time I see you what it's like once you go to Tennessee, because I realized when I was there in North Carolina, the mass celebrated there is very reverent. I think I went to almost every mass, like every different church that I would go to. They were very reverent, and I was just going to random churches. So
yeah.
And like what I would say by that is a lot of them chant Latin even when like it's like in the Novus Ordo mass, right?
Yeah.
Or like, you know, our mass. But then it was also the first time I ever knelt, because in Idaho they hadn't started kneeling yet. Like, I don't know if, do you remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Because Idaho, when was it? It had to have been in like 2016, 2017, somewhere in there.
Somewhere
2016
in there.
to 2018, somewhere in there.
I was
like
in high
they
school.
started kneeling. But prior to that, we didn't kneel. And so like everyone started kneeling, and I was like, oh, wait, we kneel at this part? Like, what? Sure enough, if you go and look at your missal, you do kneel there.
You do kneel there. Yeah.
But yeah, and I just remember like the mass was really different for me when I experienced that. I don't feel like our school mass was super different. There was definitely things I was like, oh, I don't know. You know, I have to learn this Latin piece or whatever, or now I have to kneel now. But like everything else wasn't. But yeah, it's really interesting. The East Coast, and to anyone that's not from Idaho or the West, anything past the Mississippi is the East Coast. So just get over it. My husband's from Ohio, and he's like, I'm not East Coast. I'm like, you're east of the Mississippi. You are East Coast.
You are. Yeah. Yeah.
Anyways.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's exciting. It's exciting that you're on this new journey.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just like kind of nervous for the culture shock.
Yeah.
Even when I was in training in Florida, there's a little bit of a culture shock, even though we're in like this like Catholic bubble of training for Focus, and we're all just Focus Missionaries. Okay,
so what is that? Like, what do you mean? Give some examples of the culture shock you experienced.
I don't know. It's, you know, people go to the beach and it's like a 45-minute drive, and from Boise it's like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And you get to the beach in Oregon and it's cold.
Yeah. What about accents? Did you ever?
Yes. I met quite a few people from Texas, and they're just.
I don't even think Texas is that bad compared to some of the folks that I met.
Yeah, I mean, in Louisiana, it's
yeah. Sometimes, can be hard to understand.
Yeah, and then we had
in like the best way though, because total side tangent. So it's interesting because accents have to do with the period of time that people have been in that area. So like even going to Maryland and talking with people there, they pronunciate different words in ways that are just slightly off. I think when you listen to people from Idaho, I don't think we have necessarily an accent. Like when you listen to like news anchors and stuff, I think they typically speak like us. But the reason why they say that is because there hasn't been enough time for a dialect to evolve. And so that's why it's like thicker on the coast, the East Coast, right? And they have a thicker accent.
Yeah.
I think Texas is also kind of like that, in that they have a really thick accent, and you probably can trace that to maybe the Mexican American War, right? But it's really interesting. They actually have a map you can look at to like distinguish accents, or there's a YouTube video about it too. You should look it up. Okay, it's really interesting.
I will.
But they talk about what accent and how it developed, and what like countries and immigration patterns influenced the speech. It's very cool.
Interesting.
Yeah. No. The one thing like, how do you say water?
Water.
That's what I said. Water. We're saying it the same way.
Yeah.
It's so funny because it's so subtle. But like in North Carolina, they say water. Like water. Like it's the D, like the water sound.
Yeah.
Is like water. It's like back in their mouth a little bit.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know. And people are going to come at me. They're going to be like, Natalie, we don't say it like that. I swear you say it like that. That's how I hear it. It's instead of water, it's like water, like that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny to me because I met a lot of East Coast missionaries too. Mm-hmm. And, from like Boston to New York, and
oh yeah, they have great accents.
It's great. They're great accents up there.
Okay, here's another question. So when you're in training, did you notice anything with like chivalrous actions? Like for example, I'll give you this. When I went to, and maybe this is just my family is not very chivalrous. Shame on you. But I'm totally kidding. But like I never got used to like guys, even at my school or anything, like opening the door for you or saying, this was a big one for me, like them waving hi. Like if you didn't wave or say hi to someone when you pass them on the street, at least in North Carolina, like people get really mad at you. You can't just do like I made eye contact, I'm gonna nod at you. No, like you literally have to say hello. Like I had this guy, it was like probably like the first week I was at school, and he walks past me and he's like, hi, and I'm like, give him the head nod.
Yeah. And
he literally stops and he looks at me and he goes, you're supposed to say hi back. And I was like, oh, sorry, didn't know. I don't even know you. I'm just passing lanes, like trying to just get to class. Okay. But no, and like people opening doors for you, like they wouldn't ever let me like just open the door. They'd be like, oh no, and like grab the door for me. It's just like, I think that was a kind of a culture shock for me because they still hold on to a lot of those traditions, which I approve of.
Same.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think I noticed it. I don't know. It's just Focus Missionaries are also really nice. Yeah. So
you'll have to tell me what you think after you get back from Tennessee. Yeah. We should do like another video like after your first year.
Yeah, for sure.
That'd be fun. How have you got to know your like other missionaries with you? So obviously your leader, he's married.
Yes.
He has a 5-month-old.
He has a 5-month-old.
So have you got to meet his wife then as well? Yeah. Is she also a Focus missionary?
She was on staff for 3 or 4 years.
Oh, okay.
And then she was at training with us, and she's great. So training is funny because like 10 days in you get your placement, and then you spend pretty much the rest of the time with your team. And so we got to know Ryan and his wife and 5-month-old baby pretty well. I mean, as much as you can with a 5-month-old baby.
Yeah.
But and then my teammate Madeline, she and I met at summer projects in 2022.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and we like ran in the same friend group, and so that was just fun and exciting and surprising that we're now teammates.
That's amazing. Did they know that you guys had worked together? Like, obviously they had to.
They knew that we had been to summer projects, but they didn't know that we were in at the same location together.
Oh, okay. Crazy.
So, yeah, crazy. Yeah.
What a gift, though.
Yeah. Big gift.
Yeah.
She was like one of like 4 people I knew going into Ave, and then to like figure out that she's like on my team was such a gift.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I've been really excited to talk to you. I appreciate you coming in today.
Yeah.
So
for sure.
One of the things that I think listeners need to know is that Focus Missionaries, you have to fundraise your everything for the year. So you have to, so they basically get sponsors, and the sponsors help pay. Is it monthly, or do they do one-time donations?
Monthly
donations.
Yeah, we love monthly donations.
So a monthly donation, and that goes to your rent, any gas that you need to use, or your food or anything like that.
Yeah.
So where can they find your information if they want to, if any of the listeners here wanted to support you?
Yeah, you can look up Sarah Larson Focus, and my name will be my support link will be the first item to pop up on a Google search. From there you can scroll down and read more about my story, though you've heard quite a bit. And then there's a blue support Sarah button, and you can click on that and then fill out a little form.
And then if anyone was interested in contacting you, maybe they are thinking about being a Focus Missionary and they just have questions. Are you on any social media?
Yeah. Mainly Instagram. So
okay.
Yeah.
What's your Instagram handle? We'll make sure to put it down below.
It's Sarah_Larson 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yep.
Well, again, thank you so much for coming on, and I am so excited to hear from you and how your missionarying is going.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Desert Wanderers. If you liked it, give us a thumbs up as well as subscribe down below. We're produced by Salt and Light Radio, so you can find us on social platforms at Salt and Light Radio or Desert Wanderers Podcast. We produce episodes every week and we launch them for you on Wednesdays. So make sure to tune in for next week's episode, and we'll see you then.